Hello friends, welcome to Technique and you're watching the detailed camera review of the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. The Max Pro M2 is the successor of the hugely popular Max M1 and this device comes with upgraded hardware and it runs on the Snapdragon 660 AIE chipset. In terms of the camera, the Max Pro M2 is also an upgrade with new hardware offered. So let's find out how good it is. Firstly, let's have a look at the hardware offered. The Max Pro M2 comes with a dual camera setup with primary 12 megapixel Sony IMX486 sensor with f-stop 1.8 aperture and 6p lens. There is a secondary 5 megapixel depth sensing camera. The rear camera supports EIS and 4K recording and also has an LED flash. The front camera on the Max Pro M2 is a 13 megapixel f2.0 camera which is supported by an LED flash for low light selfies. So now let's have a look at the photos taken with the Zenfone Max Pro M2. First, the daylight shots. Looking at the daylight captures, you could see the Max Pro M2 produces sharp images with good details. The overall clarity of the images also looks pretty good compared to the Max Pro M1 with better sensors. But at the same time, the color reproduction is not that great on the Max Pro M2, especially when you take images with sky. The colors looks dull and washed out. This is probably due to poor processing with the default camera app. We tried with third-party camera app and the results were better. We feel Asus can fix these issues with future updates on the Max Pro M2. The dynamic range is pretty average on the Max Pro M2. Moving to the close-up shots. Here again you could see details and good sharp images. The close-up shots have better color reproduction, but at the same time, the post-processing turns few reds into pink and this again can be fixed via software updates. Overall, it did a decent job in the close-up shots. Now moving on to the low light images. With adequate artificial light, the image shot on the Zenfone Max Pro M2 looks decent with f-stop 1.8 aperture. There is good details and the images are also sharp. But the disappointing aspect is the amount of noise creeping in and this is quite evident in the images. When light drops further, you could see noise levels are also increased. The colors are also good in low light captures and the images are well lit thanks to the f1.8 aperture. Now looking at the portrait samples. The dual camera does a decent job and they have come out quite well. The portraits are bright and well lit and offer good details. The edge detection in portrait is quite good and edge detection algorithm does a decent job overall in subject separation. But at the same time with complex background, it does blur out some portion of your ear and hairs. The video recording on this device is available at 1080p resolution at 30 fps and also 4K Ultra HD resolution. There is also stabilization offered in the video recording. While the video footage in itself looks good with EIS support, there are a couple of issues, one being focus hunting issue which isn't annoying but existent, and second one being slight jerks while panning with the EIS enabled. Finally, the selfie experience. The 13 megapixel f2.0 camera on the Zenfone Max Pro M2 takes good selfies. The skin tones are quite good and the details are good in the selfies and it is acceptable for a price segment it is being offered. The dynamic range in the selfies is also good. The dual selfie performance and the selfies with screen flash is also good. There is adequate details even in dark condition but at the expense of noise. The Zenfone Max Pro M2 does not offer portrait mode in selfies as of now, but it is coming via an update which is slated for this month. So this is the front facing camera sample taken with the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2. So it can record videos in 1080p resolution and there is an update coming in for the front camera which will enable electronic image stabilization, so you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output from the front facing camera. So summing up, how good is the camera on the Zenfone Max Pro M2? While the company has upgraded the sensor on the Max Pro M2 to the Sony IMX486 sensor, the sluggish camera app and the post-processing makes it pretty average in the segment. We expect ASUS to fix these issues, and ASUS has promised the EIS for front camera along with AI scene detection. That's it for the camera review of the Zenfone Max Pro M2. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.